Welcome to another Pint with Seaniebee, coming to you from London again, where all the major things happen in the world. I have a very interesting conversation about to happen here with one of the top talents for techno-house sound in London right now. He has been told that he has a talent for beats, grooves and sound design that few can match. And his name is Prevost.
Yep.
I'm welcoming to the podcast a man who I really have spent a couple of hours trying to understand this whole area, because it's not my bailiwick. And this is what A Pint with Seaniebee is all about, me learning as well as anything else. So welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Not at all. What's your background? You are from London?
Yeah. Born in Hammersmith. My mum took me and my brother and moved us to southeast London, where I've pretty much been based for the majority of my life now. I'm quite sure it would have turned out quite different if I'd have not been taken away from my dad, but that's how things go.
They separated, yeah?
Yeah, they separated. Well, yeah, my mum just sort of, he went to work one day and she took me and my brother while he was at work.
Oh, okay.
He come back to an empty house.
That wouldn't have gone down too
quite
well.
Stressful for him, yeah. Yeah, and that was it. So I've been based in southeast London.
Are you still in touch with your old man?
No, well, my dad passed away
I'm sorry to hear that.
Several years ago, but he passed away at the age of 93. He was like been through a war, been a prison guard, and said he killed people in the war, which I was quite shocked about, and all sorts of stuff. But he was quite a hard.
He was
West
in World War
Indian.
II, was he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fighting. He was Dominican.
Right. Okay.
His dad was Dominican, and my mum is Irish, Armenian, and all sorts of other mixes. Yeah, quite a strange character, my mum.
Where in Ireland is she from?
No, do you know what? My mum she's such a strange character. I don't really know anything about my mum's past or her history or anything. Only this year I actually found some stuff out about her, which was quite intriguing. Like, her father was Armenian. And I'm still just delving into that now. So this is another whole world of information that I've not even... My mum's never spoke about.
So she was a lot younger than your father.
Yeah, 25 years younger or something like that.
Right. And what was it like for you growing up in school and all that sort of stuff? Were you rebellious, or were you...
Well, my mum took me and my brother to southeast London, to an area called Avery Hill, predominantly white area then.
Right.
And obviously me and my brother were mixed race.
Did you find it difficult there, racism and all that stuff?
Well, not really. I didn't really,
London's kind of...
I didn't personally feel it, but I could sort of sense that it was quite a different area. But being mixed race, it's not really bothered me that.
Yeah.
I've sort of always been sort of on the fence, if they'd say, and didn't really affect me.
But I mean, I still think London is different from the rest of Britain. I mean, if anywhere is more sensitive to that, I mean, it still goes on, I know, but it's a melting pot here. Yeah,
there's so many different sort of cultures here. It was quite predominantly white there. I've not really ever... Well, personally, I've never really felt that's been a problem for myself. But obviously, I can see how for a lot of people it is. But were
you musical as a kid?
Well, no, not really, because my mum sort of had learning difficulties and stuff like that. So she wasn't even really well prepared to even take me and my brother away from my dad, really. So I've pretty much, like, from the age of like 8 and that, I've learned to cook. My mum couldn't cook, and my mum couldn't really do anything. So basically I looked after my mum. So
is your younger brother and yourself?
Well, my younger brother got killed in a car accident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Very soon after.
Oh dear.
She took me and my brother away. So I think my mum's had really quite a hard life, and so she's really quite a mysterious, my mum, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people's parents...
You had to be independent, really.
Yeah, well, I've been...
You had to grow up.
Yeah. But I think that's moulded me as a person. I believe that a lot of people force their opinions and their views on their children and mould them into a certain what they want to be. I pretty much have just brought myself up, made my own choices, not all of them amazing ones, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, so I think that has sort of made me the person. And when I look back on it, I feel quite thankful that happened to me. And it's been a bit rocky, but it's like I'm thankful that
It's funny, it's a theme in a lot of the people I interview, because I didn't expect this theme to emerge, but a lot of people are very independent from a young age. A lot of only children, a lot of children who have been left to kind of maybe fend for themselves, or a lot of people who went, this is not for me, and I'm brave enough at a young age to rebel against and go my own way. It's very interesting. It's across the board, and I probably have to write a book about the people I've interviewed, because there's some themes coming through that are interesting. And again, part of the reason for the podcast is for people who are maybe in their teens to hear people like your story and inspire them. And so were you part of the London sort of culture, underground culture, when you were a teenager? Were you into football, or were you doing all that stuff, or what?
I was actually, no, as it goes, I wanted to be, when I was young, I would call it pre-smoking weed.
Right.
I wanted to be Daley Thompson, the athlete.
Yes,
I was
decathlete.
I wanted to be like an athlete, and Daley Thompson was one of my early sort of people I used to look up to. Do
you know what I did? I'm a bit older here in this conversation, but I did the Lucasade ads with Daley Thompson back in the day.
I'd have been in total awe. That would have been like, wow. He was, he was like.
And then, so as you're in your teenage years, were you kind of a guy who said, schooling is not for me, or did you apply yourself, or did you feel that this is just
in school I was always quite intelligent and bright, but all my reports said Lincoln's got great potential, but he's cheeky and disruptive and not necessarily really naughty, but just didn't really want to
apply
myself.
I was like that.
Not really, because there were some people who were really naughty, but I wasn't actually majorly naughty.
I think there are people who can go, I can do this and I don't really like it, but I'll get through it. And then there are people who really go after it, and they're, again, another theme I've had, people who go,
But I didn't, with my mum, I didn't really, there wasn't anything for it, because I can imagine a lot of parents want their kids to be footballers, and there wasn't anything for me really pushed towards as a child, so I think I was just trying to find my way. Then I was into skateboarding, I would like to skate, so the last active thing I really done, before I took up smoking weed, which was totally did change my life quite a lot, was I was quite a good skateboarder, and that was something I wanted to follow. But then I got in, didn't say the wrong crowd. I was so anti-smoking and stuff like that. But I think from peer pressure of my friends and stuff like that, when it comes like the acid house days and that, I got in with a sort of an older crowd of people. I think it was the peer pressure of just feeling just left out a little bit. So I started smoking a little bit of weed and that.
Yeah. So how did it change your life?
Well, everything to do with sport, skateboarding, everything like that went out of my life. And then it was like the acid house days, when the acid house parties started coming up. I was totally hooked on the music. Then there was, what was the show? Remember, like before, there was all these late night television programs. There was like the one on Channel 4.
Jules Holland and
but there was
The Word and all.
The Word, that was it. So that was
your man from Manchester. What was his name? Andy Kershaw.
Terry Francis?
Wasn't it Andy Kershaw? Somebody Kershaw.
But I see him interviewing someone on their telly the other day still about.
When Channel 4 first came out, they was so edgy and so different from BBC and ITV, even like things like Brookside and stuff like that. And they were the first to show gay films, and they were the first to show, like, they had a great show called After Dark, where they bring in people. This is inspired for me, that they sit there talking around.
Even it was on so late.
4 hours,
it was so amazing.
People would walk out and
12 o'clock.
Yeah,
wow,
I know.
Late, really, really cool that. But I would say the main thing what put me in the music was when I was about 15. When DJing first come out, a lot of my friends was all DJs, budding DJs, starting DJs, got a bit of equipment, and I was sort of there on the outskirts, sort of just hanging about, going to quite a lot of parties, telepathy and that. So that was the big rave that we all really wanted to go to.
So we're late 90s now.
Yeah. So we wanted to go to that, and we all got our stuff together, got our ecstasy together, got our drugs to go, and it actually shut on the night we went to go, and it shut down. And that was really quite upsetting. And then we started going to some other sort of clubs like Slammers in Gravesend, and just doing quite a lot of raving with like the Rat Pack and early drum and bass, hardcore drum and bass.
Finishes at 10 in the morning.
Yeah. So we started collecting, or my friends started collecting records, but I was always sort of on the outskirts of that due to money and that. But really the one main thing what kicked me into my music career was when I was 15, my mum now went out shopping, and I never see her for 15 years, so just went shopping out of the house, left me in the flat, just didn't even return. Like, all my friends' parents were quite worried in that, and I was just like, well...
Did you try and contact her?
No, I didn't know what to do. I just thought, let me get on with it. I went and got a job.
What about the rent and all that stuff?
Well, what happened then was we was in a two-bedroom place. So the council evicted me, offered me a bedsit with a smelly bed in it, which I just went in there and said, look, I'm not going there. But I went back to the flat. The guy who evicted me left his crowbar outside the door, broke myself back into our own flat, said I wasn't leaving. And from that, council then because obviously I was on the vulnerable list. They gave me a flat in the same block of flats that I live now.
Right.
So.
Well, okay.
So I've lived in the flat. I lived in this block of flat for 25 years now, basically.
And we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But did your mum come back? What happened to her? Did
I bumped into her because my mum's a bit mental. I bumped into her like when I was 25-ish or something like that, which was another whole
10 years later,
about 10 years later, which was another strange story. So let me just go.
Sure,
Let me go back to where I said, because basically what made me go into the music was I was on a building site because I needed to support myself and that. And I was talking to one guy, and I always remember, I don't know who the guy was, and he said to me, whatever you do in your life, in your work, you need to enjoy your job because you work 70% of your life.
Correct.
And that has stuck in my mind. Then I got sacked for some reason because this guy pulled down my tracksuit bottoms, because I was the youngest person there.
You're
like,
getting teased. Yeah.
I was doing like labouring, and I was doing ceiling fixing, and I was doing petitioning. So I got myself like quite a good tradesman. Do you know what I mean? I was earning quite good money for my age. And then I got the sack, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going back to any of these jobs. And the man said to me, you need to do what you want. And I thought, what do I do? I thought I enjoy going out, I enjoy raving, I enjoy taking ease and stuff, and listening to music. And I thought, that's not really a job, is it? So where my friends were DJs, I thought to myself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up a music production course.
Yeah.
So I took up a music production course, which was free from the job centre.
Yeah.
One was production,
Right.
and one was the actual mechanics of it.
Yeah.
And then the guy said to me, you're never going to get a job anyway in this, because all the studios, because that was when just as the studios were really downsizing,
The music
and,
industry was collapsing.
all of the digital stuff was coming out, so all these big desks and stuff like that. So I applied for a job. I think it was just on the verge of where mobile phones was about. Obviously I couldn't afford one, so I've gone into the phone box, called up about this job. It was in a big studio in the West End called Matrix Recordings. It was like my dream job, but I wouldn't expect to get it. Got on the phone and said, have I got the job? And they said, yes, you got the job. I come out the phone box like that and bumped into my mum.
Wow.
So it was like
That's the universe.
It was so mental. So I just got the job of my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. And I've literally got out the phone box and turned around, and my mum was standing there.
That's creepy.
And she was like, so where have you been? And I was just like,
She said that to you?
She said, yeah. She said, so where have you been? I just burst out into tears. It was quite emotional in that. And then I started.
And is she okay? She had mental health issues. Did she?
Yeah.
Is she okay though, or
what?
What did she say to you? Like that?
No, she said to me, "Where have you been?"
Right.
She went, "Do you remember the cat?" And I was just like, "This is too much." And she just lived around the corner from the phone box. So she basically she'd been living up the road
all the time.
All the time.
Did you just forget or something? You don't know. Anyway, have you still a relationship with her? Not really. Let's just take a break, and you can play one of your tracks. What one are you going to play for us?
Well, I'm going to play. This is on my new label now, No Speakers. It's an EP I've done with an artist called Dawley. So
He's a big heavyweight DJ from Ibiza.
Yep. So this is my remix of his track, Sonda El Prevost remix.
Here we go. So latest track from El Prevost called Sonder. Your music is, for me, really intriguing because I said it to you at the top, it's not a kind of genre that I've got much knowledge of, but it's very, it gets into your head, like it's dream-like. You pick words, I mean, I'm thinking of LALI, which I kind of listened to last night, and I was like, kind of just going with it, that I sort of stuck in my head, you know. It's like really, it's very interesting. How do you describe your journey?
Because I do the production, so so the words there was written by my friend Dave, who I work with.
Right.
LALI is
You might play that one later in the
French for Let's Go.
Yeah.
So I'd say up to date now, that is most probably my most successful track, one I like the least.
Why do you like it? Because you've been...
It's just one of them things. It's like, if prior to this I was released, like sort of my big break was from a close friend of mine, Guy McCreery, who runs a label called Third Ear.
So this is about 2010. You had your first solo release, right?
Yeah. He used to come to the studio and pick the tracks. I wouldn't have necessarily ever even picked that track and put it on the record myself. Do you know what I mean? So he sort of picked that for me, and it basically has been my most successful track to date, to be quite honest. But when I play, I just play like an hour of my own music live, and I've never ever played it. It's just one of them things.
Is it because a lot of artists, particularly musicians I've talked to, they do have anthems and they go, I keep having to play the anthem, and they kind of get a bit bored with it before other people do.
And I think what it is, to me, it seems like it's quite
it is mellow,
It's quite down tempo.
It's
It's a bit more relaxed than what I would.
You prefer it bigger,
I would prefer play in the club. I'll play something a bit more faster.
So let's go back to the Matrix recording studio. So you're in that new job, a massive change for you. You've actually come up with an idea for your dream. You fucked off the builders, and you've gone, I'm going to get into music. You fucking went away and learned about it. You got a fucking job in it.
I know.
Amazing.
I know it was, and to me that just actually proves now whatever you, it was from that one thing that guy said to me, and I thought, why?
Was he like an old builder or something?
Do you know what? I can't remember what he looks like.
Right.
No, it's just what
you
he
just
said
remember
to me.
hearing it.
I just remember it, and it stuck in my mind so strongly. And I thought, I'm never going to go work, never going to do this ever again. And I've not since, which is it's
bad. Amazing how people get sent into our lives, you know, and
just that passing
little seeds get sown.
And it wasn't even somebody who was working within my team, just some other dude on the site just scratching about doing something I didn't even know what he was doing,
reading the sun and smoking a cigarette,
just a break or something like that.
But quite often, and this is a thing we do on this podcast, it's like looking back, and he might have just been looking back because he probably would have seen a young guy and gone, don't do what I did.
He was mostly speaking from his own
experience.
His own experience, and maybe
there's a lot of people in the world who've got pushed into jobs they hate, and before they know it, they're 50. I'm 49 now, so before they know it, they're 50, and they go, where the fuck have the last 30 years gone? So it was amazing that you did that. So what was it like then, getting into that sort of day job and working in music, and was it just
it was really
exhilarating
cool,
for you?
Basically, I had 24 hours on and 24 hours off, so I used to only get paid like I think I used to get paid £60 a week. And I had to travel from the West. I had to travel to the West End.
So there's your £60 gone.
So there's pretty. And then you had to get your dinner and your food and stuff like that. So
but you did grasp it with both hands, yeah.
Yeah, I grasped it with both hands. But it's quite interesting because I sort of survived that time by sort of getting stuff for the artists, getting their weed and stuff.
So did you start off as a kind of runner in this place?
Yeah, no, I only stayed there as far as a runner. I was there for about 2 years, but there was in the place there was a shop as well. So, but basically, I had the keys for the whole place, so I could go in and I had access to all this equipment, all the studios, and I could pretty much do what I wanted there. So then I could muck about the equipment, and I got my little Atari and set it up in a big, massive studio. Brilliant. And then there was a separate business, which was a shop inside the studio. Yeah. And due to cutbacks and that, I was the last person in, so I actually lost my job. But the people in the shop knew me as well, so then I got a job
in the shop.
Great. So I was basically going into the same place, and now I had the keys for the studio and for all the new stuff in the shop.
So you're also the people you met, right? Coming in and out of that studio.
Yeah, I met Sugar Babes in there. I met Jarvis Cocker in there. S Club 7 in there. Placebo. I met Man Child. Because it was sort of like. The guy had 4 branches, so this was the cheaper end of all of them. It was amazing stuff in there, but it was sort of like the...
And then what was the thing that happened?
Well, I got sacked from there, just because I kept on being late, do you know what I mean? So, in the studio, I'd get there say on a Monday, my shift would be until 10 o'clock the next day, but if the band wanted to stay overnight...
You have to be there.
If they was there for an hour...
So it was hard work.
I could go, I could... And I had to tidy up, and the progression from that was to be a tape-op, to learn the equipment from the other people. But I didn't really get that far due to having been downgraded to the job. Yeah. But when I was there, it was turned into like a sort of a shop job and speaking to people on the phone and that. And I don't really think that I really enjoyed that as much, do you know what I mean? Because I was...
But you're still probably even subconsciously tipping away on that little seed that was sown. Not enjoying this. Find something.
But when I got sacked from that, and I remember it was a new year, and they said if you're late again, you're going to get sacked. But I was like, they're not going to sack me. I didn't even turn up unless you'd been out partying, out my nut somewhere. Do you know what I mean? For a new year, turned up, and I remember I was tears. Do you know what I mean? I lost, just a bit lost, and I thought I've lost like this amazing opportunity of my life. I was just back to square one. I applied for some more jobs that I couldn't get them, and then one of my friends, who was one of my DJ friends, was kind of like, let's go and rent a studio out so we can go and make some music. Looking on me to do the engineering, synthesizers and samplers and stuff like that. So I've hired the studio out, went there and just worked out that I didn't know how to use none of this stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Like I knew the basics about the recording, but actually producing music and that, I didn't really have an idea. I'd made a little beat on an Atari. The first Max was in there, and the only sound I got out of it was feedback going wee, and everyone was just looking at me through the glass, just like laughing, thinking, who is this flash little shit, do you know what I mean? All the money I'd had left, I put into renting the studio out for £50 a day, and after about 3 months I didn't have any more money. But the guy who ran it, he was sort of an older guy, and he said, look, what you can do is, if you come and look after the place for me, and pay me £25 a week to have this stuff. You can do whatever you want in here, but you're sort of here to keep the outside bit tidy, like the little lobby tidy. He gave me the run of the place, and that is where I sort of really learnt my craft. I must have been in there solidly for like 7 years, just in there every single day, just sleeping and it was 10 minutes walk from my house as well.
But that's some application as well. Just to, I mean, you clearly. Even losing that job
I was super
was
determined.
Probably a good thing. Yeah,
I was so super determined. And when you look back on things, that was most probably I could have ended up being a recording engineer, being paid to record other people, but not actually making my own music. And if I really think about where I wanted to be, is where I want to be now, making my own music, producing my music, not recording music for other bands and for other people, because there wasn't anyone. They was good mix engineers, but they wasn't really being creative in any way, or not as a job.
Where did El Prevost come from? Was that a...
My name's Lincoln Prevost.
Oh, okay.
So Prevost is a name from my dad. It's broken French, Creole.
Yeah, okay. It's a cool name.
So you could be called like DJ Spider or DJ Ninja. And I didn't really see myself with them names, so I just put an E on the start of the name, L. Prevost, and I just couldn't think of anything else. It's all that come to mind. I thought, you know what? And I've never really thought that was an amazing name, but I've just stuck with it up until now, and that's my production name now. So.
Let's hear another one of your tracks. Which one are we going to hear now?
We've been speaking about it. This is A Lie, which is first
the one you have the
featured.
love-hate relationship with.
Yeah. My friend Dave Ham from the States put the voice on it.
This is your breakthrough track.
Yeah, it really was, yeah. Between the original and the CD and the remixes, this has been my biggest
seller.
My biggest seller, yeah, which has mostly got the most profile from.
This is A Lie.
To fish caught in the current events that has masses pent up and bent, contortions of notions of quotients. Decide which way to approach the glut of media sluts who want to attract with their weapons of mass distractions and factions. I lie, 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 I lie. While the masses that are pent up and bent out of shape, being blinded by factotums, leading them away from the light. You know what's left. Just wake up and get the filter off your third eyelid and take a whiff of those free trade coffee beans. Sensations is elevation, visions crossing bridges, like Willis Avenue infuses continentals, impulses, choose. I lie, I lie, I lay, I lie, I lie, I lie, I lay. I lay, I lie, I lie, I lie.
Ali there from El Prevost, and we have now come to probably you setting up your own label.
Yep.
Which was Lynx Records recordings in 2001. So this was in that studio?
Yeah, so this was basically in this, Trevor, the owner of the studio, he had a record label. Right then, after coming through hardcore and then drum and bass and then jungle, it went to UK Garage. That was where I really started producing my own stuff. And he had like the manufacturing side of things covered. So I started Lynx Recordings as a label, and I was working with Wiley, Pay As You Go crew.
So you were making
Kano.
Music for them. You're a producer. You're a bona fide producer.
I was producing the beats, and they was working with people in the other rooms who were quite successful, and they sort of see the stuff that I was doing to be like this. So obviously now Wiley's massive. I've done sort of with Kano, the Pay As You Go crew, Flo Dan. So a lot of the early Dizzy Rascal as well. Didn't personally work with him, but he was in the room next door. So this was before any of these guys was on the telly or anything. We was just all there, just like, just obviously now these guys are out there.
You then set
household names.
So you're setting up a label. You then set up Built in Britain, right?
The UK Garage. It then went to Grime. That's when the trouble started coming to the clubs. It was
getting angry.
It was getting angry, and I felt that I didn't really want to have to go to these clubs and listen to my music there. And I thought I'd sort of outgrown that scene of people. Do you know what I mean? I believe going out from the UK Garage days, it was all about nice girls and dressing up and stuff like that. And when it went to that, it turned to caps and trains and stuff like that. And as much as I was into the music, like the atmosphere in the clubs, it wasn't a vibe of. It wasn't even that. It wasn't even like the angriness of it. It was just the clubs, just people standing in the back. There was no dancing going on, and I didn't really. So then I broke out into someone I was working with. One of his clients went to Ibiza, brought back this idea of a tribal house, and I was in a bit of limbo there, what to do. So I was making these beats still and releasing on the Lynx recordings, which I'd done a good 6 or 7 releases on that, which was quite a fair on vinyl as well. This is before there was any beat port, any MP3 downloads. You'd get your records, you'd press them up, you'd take them around the shops, you'd sell them, you'd get the money back, and that was it. So it was just like selling weed. But I was a bit sort of in limbo, and then Dave's come back to me and said, my friend Dave Ramsey said, right, let's do this. Started making the tribal house, and that was, and we started a label Built in Britain. Maybe I had like, I think 12 releases on that or something, all vinyl as well. That was really what was my introduction into starting doing the house and the techno stuff.
We were talking again before we pressed record about just the travails of the music industry and how fucking hard it is to make money these days. But there is this thing, and I can feel it from you, just keep making, keep making art, keep doing what you do.
Many times I've just been like, but I think there was a big turning point where the MP3 started coming out, and from that it totally just wiped out all of the vinyl sales, and there was 41.
Thank you very much, Apple.
Thanks guys.
Thanks Steve Jobs.
Thank you. People thought they couldn't make any money anymore. They couldn't sell their records. What we're going to do? A lot of people was like the world had ended. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and a lot of people just give up. They thought there's no money. The guy Trevor who funded me to do the Lynx recording things. All these people just give up. It was like there's no point in doing it anymore. So
no money in it.
There's no money in it. So it was just that was a big turning point.
Where was your head at when this was all happening?
Well, I was just like keep pressing the records because by Trevor funded the Lynx recordings, but the Built in Britain, Dave funded that. So he's sort of coming as a.
So these guys are basically doing it as labours of love at this stage.
Just pressing the records themselves. The vinyl sales went down and down and down and down and down, and then it just. I was determined. I thought, you know what? For me, it was just like a pride thing. I always felt that an MP3, you've got nothing physical. Another thing someone said to me: as long as you leave something here physical, people to remember.
It's always there.
People's not going to remember an MP3. Do you know what I mean? Digital releases are in and out of just as the blink of an eye. If you've got a record there, there's still
with artwork,
and it's a whole physical thing that people can look at, and it'll be there forever.
Yeah, well, it's also pretty for you. It's a sign of your progression as an artist. For yourself, if nobody else.
I've not even got half the records myself that I've even made. Do you know what I mean? But
they're collector's items now.
But now I'm looking back on Discogs and people still want to buy these. I ain't even got a copy myself. And I've noticed now that everything's got a 10-year cycle. But I'd say I've been through 2 10-year cycles now. Everything's coming back from clothes to music. Everything's just.
There's also always going to be a hardcore of people who want to protect stuff like this and make sure it doesn't die fully. You'll probably find there are people who'll spend an extra $50 or £50 or whatever just to, because they know that they're supporting. It's like a cottage industry. It's become a cottage industry. Away from music, what's your view on the world?
I think there's just too much consumption. Everybody just wants everything now. But I do really feel now that there's a big change, and as much as the news wants to make us believe that everything is shit, obviously the 3 million people who run the world, they just want to. How can they control the rest of the world? Only by council tax and wars, and just by holding people down, making people live in fear. And I think this is their game. But I do believe now people are getting more conscious. Do you know what I mean, about the environment?
I agree.
And
actually, technology, even though it's fucked up the music industry, is a thing that can help people galvanize. We're in contact. We can get,
It's even like with the music, the internet has in one way it's made the sales go down, but then it's made it possible for the small person to get on a computer in the house, make a hit and get it out there. So in the 70s, a sound engineer was someone who wore a white coat like a doctor. Now people are the producer, the artist. Everything's all in one.
The lines are blurred.
So I think now there's pros and cons of everything. But personally, I'm thinking the world is changing for the better. People are becoming a lot more aware. People think it's all dim and gloom, but I personally believe that things are looking up and it is positive, and you only make things as positive as your outlook. Do you know what I mean?
The darkest hour is the hour before dawn.
Yeah.
Last question. What would you say to the 15, 16-year-old self if you could go back and speak into his ear?
I would say follow your dreams. Follow your dreams, and you can do whatever you feel like you can do. If you put enough effort into it and you've got enough passion for it, anything is possible.
Perfect. Play us out with one more of your tracks, and thanks for being on the show.
This is Surreal for Real. Dave Ham again, a long friend. I've not seen you for a while, Dave, but
here it is.
Surreal for Real.
Best of luck in your career. Keep making art. Keep following your dreams.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Brilliant.
silliest itches need to be scratched by the populace once they get their eyes focused. You already know this. I usually quote from something I wrote on the back of a note. It's so real. Surreal for real. It's so real. Wounded eyes to the skies, spying on ghetto birds, satelliting what we're writing, overnighting, highlighting. The pressure tightens. We strive to enlighten. Don't get frightened. Try and lengthen your sight so we can stay focused throughout these dark nights. We're all aware of each other's plight. I'm just trying to stay aight. I'm just trying to stay aight. For real. For real. For real. It's so real. Surreal for real. Surreal for real. It's so real. Surreal for real.